like if the old shaman sits by the fire in the village and all the children of the village are sitting around and the shaman tells a story and it's a parable, it's a sort of metaphor, and it's kind of open-ended. I think it's the shaman's role not to say, and here's the meaning, here's the symbology of it. You know, this happened like this, and this is what the deeper meaning is. That's what I'm sensing. These stories have like a mythic, poetic quality at times. And it feels like that information is showing up in these messages from these owl encounters. I mean, certainly there's information imparted in when you read through the abduction literature, and there's also sort of an implied message that shows up with these owl encounters. And it feels like that, you know, when you want to write a sentence and you're typing it out and you want to make a bold statement, you just hit an exclamation point at the end. In a way, the owl is the exclamation point in these accounts. It's a sort of a presence. Now, owls are not like bunny rabbits. They have a very, very intense presence. And people just, if you see an owl on a tree at sunset, there doesn't need to be anything paranormal going on. But you can say, like, that isn't, like, even little owls are very intense. There's something very ominous about them. And I think we all recognize that. Anyone would. And so they have like this archetypal power. And the owl itself is like all across the world's literatures. So one of the premises and one of the ways I try to frame this for my own like sanity and well-being as I work on these projects is how do these old myths, how do they reoccur present day? And I feel like they are, because what you read the old, you know, sort of folklore about the owl is a messenger, the owl can see into the darkness, the owl can travel into the darkness, the owl is wise, the owl can return with a message, the owl is the totem of the shaman, the owl is the totem of the initiate, the owl is a link between our world and this nether world. And when you put that in the context of the UFO lore, it works very cleanly. So my sense is that these myths emerged out of somewhere. They emerged out of people's real experiences, and these real experiences are showing up now, present day, with these owls and with people who are having, I mean, to call a UFO encounter an initiation experience, that's one way to frame it. That seems a fair way to try to wrap your mind around it. And that the owls would show up. So like the text normal story, right? So someone's sitting in the woods, they're walking through the woods, they look up there and they say, hey, look, there's an owl. Moments later, a flying saucer or a triangle-shaped UFO flies over. I've got that one so many times in my records. And then so that's like, they see an owl, they see a UFO. I've got that in so many variations. They see a UFO and then they see an owl. They hear an owl and then they see a UFO. They hear an owl, they look around for where the owl is, and then they are drawn to the attention. Like literally, they're facing this way, they hear an owl behind them, they turn and look and see a UFO. So there's some, like whether it's an orb of light or whether a structured metal craft or whether something very trippy, like people will talk about these multi-dimensional sort of crystalline craft that don't really seem to be in our reality space. So it's not so that to try to come up with a summation has been very difficult. So all I can say is that there is definitely a connection. And when you start pulling on these threads, it presents itself in a mythic archetypal way.